Hey everybody, how's it going? I actually do have a video queued up today, but I don't know if I'm actually going to play it here. I might just talk for a little bit. So just bear with me 1 second here. Um, just give me 1 second, I'm sorry. So I'm back in my apartment overseas. I left the city. I have my sunglasses on. Obviously, this is the eye right here that is still closed. And I've been treating it with eye drops and keeping my head down. That's actually why I'm outside making the video like this. You probably can't see it, but my head is actually angled down as I've been recommended to do by the doctor. So, what I do want to talk about is, I guess today, I was going to play this video, and maybe I will. Maybe I will play the video, while I talk, so you guys don't have to look at my face. I guess it's something to look at. It's a video of Louisville, Kentucky. But yeah, you know what? I will play it because it's a pretty smooth ride through Louisville, Kentucky. And I guess I'll talk about some things that have been going on, other than my eye, which has been the obvious concern as of late. I'm not going to lift my glasses up so you guys can see it. I'm not trying to gross anybody out, but it's still shut, and I can see out of it. Um, it's very difficult to open, but if I look down and I focus on opening the eyelid, I can see. I can see color. It's blurry, but I would say it's the same as my uh, my left eye when I don't have corrective lenses on. Except, imagine that there's maybe like a 75% tint on it, so it's very dark, but I can see it's with color, and there's like a ring um, kind of sensation going on, and I can feel like the liquid moving when I turn my head back and forth. But the doctor talked to me. I'm not going to get into the details about all that. We'll leave that alone. But let me play a little video, and I'll talk to you guys. So Red Hood there. So this is when I was at Crete, um, and this is a video of Louisville, Kentucky. Now it's a pretty smooth ride, and I guess the reason I'm going to put this video up today is so that I can talk to you guys about life, and life on the road as us truck drivers. You know, life isn't always a smooth ride. It's not. Um, there's seasons, even in trucking. I've had years, and I know a lot of other drivers have had years where everything goes great, and then you have another year where just everything seems to go wrong. I've seen that happen to people for many years. You have seasons where things just goes wrong. And the past 2 years of my life has been one where, even though I've been on YouTube, things have really gone wrong in my life. Starting in January 2023, I got that cease and desist order from a lawyer at HYLN. And I went back and forth between that lawyer and a lawyer that I had worked with in the past. And, and then I found out later on that year that, on the website for Detmar, they had put up a video about a week later, around January 17th, that looked a lot like the videos that I was making. And, I didn't find this out until later. So much later, it was after the fact that, I found out in April that some of my information had been shared on the dark web. And, much like driving a truck, when you have a bad day or things don't go your way, you just keep going. You just have to keep going. There's nothing you could do. You got to stay focused. You got to keep your temperance. You got to keep going. But, I was disappointed about that at the time, and then I was kind of consumed with the dark web stuff and my online security, personal information. Um, Not to mention at that time, around March of 2023, Rocio and me had broken up. I don't know why. Her family completely stopped talking to me. I lost the apartment that I was paying for overseas. I put a lot of money into it, bought furniture. I lost it all. You know what I mean? And I didn't have the time to go back and fight for it. I just had to let it go. All the money I put into it, the furniture. A lot of people were blaming me, saying that I stole the stuff out of there when I was taking the furniture that I bought out. I have receipts for it. I have transaction. receipts, payment receipts, messages. I paid for this stuff, but I let it go. I didn't have a choice at the time. And then one of my best childhood friends died earlier that year. You'll see an individual. You might see an individual in the comments. That's his brother. He passed away, and his brother knows how devastated I am by that, and I'm still devastated by it to this day. He was only 40 years old, and he had a really good heart, and just wasn't expecting that. I wanted to go to the funeral, and I was told, that I, wasn't really necessary that I go, and I didn't. So I didn't really argue about it much. I was kind of devastated. I was dealing with a lot at the time. My ex-wife was having problems with the place she was staying in too, so I went back on the road. I ended up working for a company that is not very reputable. They have a bad reputation. I mean, the money may be good, but they work you very hard. And I was at that job for about 5 months straight. It was very stressful, and in that time, me and my ex-wife got divorced. I ended up signing a separation agreement that it doesn't allow me to post videos of my daughter or photos online. So I basically signed myself into being a deadbeat father. In order to see my daughter, I have to go visit where her mother stays at, which is also difficult for me to do even when I was working, because I've been an over-the-road truck driver more or less all my life before I even met my ex-wife and before we had our daughter. So, and then the most devastating news, and I think for we're going into downtown Louisville here. I think for most of you who watch my channel, you were interested in investing in HYLN, and I found out early fall last year, or was it late summer, that they had scrapped the project altogether. The trucks that I was talking about, they had just scrapped the project altogether. And I was like, they scrapped the project. I was like, why would they do that? I thought they were coming out with it. And that's when I had a feeling that like something was just like really, really wrong. I had a lot of people in my comments. Some of the comments I was starting to think like, a little bit, cyber bullyish type of comments, almost like I was to blame for something that had happened down there. I've never worked for HYLN. I don't know anything about what happened. I was just surprised that, to find out that they scrapped the project after I had gotten that cease and desist order, which made me think, and I don't know. Did they know? Did they know that, they weren't going to come out with it then? Like, why would they have me cease and desist? I was making videos about it for about 2 years. And some of the design department was like, oh yeah, we watch your channel. Were they watching my channel because they wanted to work with me? Or were they watching my channel because they were trying to throw me under the bus? I don't know. Maybe I'll never know the answer. Anyway, those comments kept up for a while, and I was definitely being followed when I was driving. And I know I was being followed because when I was here at this company right here, Crete, one time in Pennsylvania, someone actually came up to me when my truck was in the shop and it started talking to me about HYLN and about how some people like to sue and things like that. Just a random person came up to me, and so I kind of knew that somebody was watching me and keeping an eye on me. I don't know why, until I found out that they scrapped the project, and I said, oh, maybe they had known all along that they weren't going to release these trucks. They weren't going to sell any trucks. Did they? I don't know. Nobody told me anything. I was surprised I got the cease and desist order because the video that they asked me to cease and desist, the stuff that was in it, was information that had already been released by HYLN and its team. It had already become public information. So you can't re-release information that's already been released by the company that released it, But anyway, things, kept going. I eventually changed jobs and ended up coming to Crete. And that's where I was telling you about that guy that came up to me in Pennsylvania. And Crete was a good job. I stayed there for a while. It was a good job. Unfortunately, what happened is my health started to go bad. I went to an optometrist, and a couple of doctors told me I was probably having problems with my vision. I was getting a little pre-hypertension. You know what I mean? My health was just getting bad. So, I mean, it was one of those things that would have been inevitable. Eventually, I would have either gotten too sick, not been able to pass a DOT physical, or, would have had an accident, which to me is unacceptable. So I decided to to hang it up, and I had to start all over down here. I had to get my own apartment again because I lost the one that I had. I lost all the furniture I had, everything I invested into it, all the money I put into it. It's gone. I lost that relationship. I thought that her and her family were being pretty honest with me, but apparently I got deceived. That's okay. You know what I mean? I'm not ashamed to say it. I got tricked. Um, they lied and they set me up, and it was probably a plan to get me to pay for the apartment and then just throw me to the curb. But her whole family was in on it, which kind of hurt the most because I was associating with at least 20 people in her family, and I would go see them on a regular basis. I would go to their house, stay there. Uh, they would cook, drink coffee. You know what I mean? And they all just cut me off all at once. You know what I mean? Just threw me under the bus and all started blaming me. So that was very painful to deal with. But again, like I said, uh, there's things that I'm telling you now. This is what it is to be a truck driver. You see this drive, it's smooth, and it's a nice day. But we go through a lot, and you have to keep your head about you, and you have to keep going. Now I'm down to one eye, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to see out of it well enough again to drive a truck. I might have to go on Social Security disability benefits, and I may have to find a whole new career. But the thing is that one of the things that I learned when I used to drive, regularly, is that you keep going. You always keep going. There's always something there to distract you or mess you up. Even that banging noise in the background, you guys can probably hear right now. You know, Life's never perfect, but you can make the most of it. You can try to control it the best you can, even though you can't control everything. And you know, I really do. I really do appreciate everybody who did, watch and support my channel, for the time that we were all really hopeful and looking forward to those green energy trucks coming out. And it turns out it didn't happen. And I don't know, I don't have the answers, and I think a lot of you don't have the answers either. I'm confused about a lot of things that happened in my life, or the reason why a lot of things happened. You know, I don't I don't want to believe that it's something nefarious. I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that, um, maybe the answers will come soon, and maybe things just didn't work out. But things have not gone well for me um, in my personal life. But I've turned that into a positive and said, well, maybe that wasn't the life I was supposed to have, and I've accepted it and tried to turn it into something different now. And, for those of you out there that had your investments and, didn't get the return that you wanted and or disappointment, I don't know what else to say, because I feel, just lost and confused just as much as you do. I felt like, maybe we've been done wrong. And I may have to stop talking for a second while this guy comes through. Let me stop talking for a second. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, it's an individual comes around the neighborhood with like a pickup truck, and he has a megaphone, and he's asking to buy, things that you might have, old appliances, things like that. He'll buy it from you. You know what I mean? If you have an old appliance, something something old, viejo, he'll buy it from you. So that's what happens. He comes around every now and again, and if you got something you want to get rid of, take it off your hands for a price. You know what I mean? He'll probably either go recycle it, flip it, whatever he does. So that's what was going on right there. So I'm going to keep recovering. Stay positive. Stay focused. Understand that maybe the things that didn't work out, the things that I wanted to work out, maybe it all happened for a reason. Maybe it did. Maybe what I thought I wanted wasn't what I wanted in the first place, or maybe there's something that was going on in the background that I just couldn't see. I just wanted to report on something that I knew about, which was driving heavy trucks. Something that I had done for many, many years, and it seemed like a lot of people were interested in hearing about it. So, I kept doing it. And a lot of things fell apart, and I don't know if it's all interconnected, me losing that apartment and that relationship and, You know, I was definitely heartbroken about it for sure. I was definitely heartbroken about it. You know, it made me upset. But I mean, doesn't that happen to all of us? That's life. You know, things happen to all of us in our lives that leave us, you know, upset, devastated. You know, wondering, you know, why did this have to happen? And you know, the thing I try to focus on is, you know, hey, I'm still here. You know, and now you have a new direction and a new opportunity. You know, that's life. That's what it is. You know, much like the highway. I was just showing you guys that video. You know, you stay on the highway. Sometimes you stay straight for a long, 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 long time, and eventually you get to that point where it does one of these. You got to go left. You got to go right, even if you don't want to. You don't have a choice. That's life. You just have to take that ramp. You know what I mean? And hope that the next section is better or as good as the last one was. Sometimes it's not. You know, but if you've been on a bad stretch of roadway, you'll never get back on a good stretch of roadway unless you keep going. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep uploading videos. And we'll see how things go. I'm obviously looking for new careers. I'm still unsure, and I have to go for follow-up visits and rehab for up to 6 weeks. I'm not supposed to fly, and I'm not supposed to be driving around in any type of cars or vehicles. And I'm supposed to be keeping my head down some of that my eye heals, and hopefully I get most of my vision back. But I am still here, and I appreciate all of you who are still here as well, who have watched my channel over the years. And this isn't my sad story. It's a story to remind all of you to not give up. You know, sometimes the road does get bumpy. Sometimes life is not, you know, that scenic route that we all want to be on. Sometimes it can get ugly, but it's those ugly times that make the good times better when the good times do come back around. So I thank you all for watching. Hopefully my eye will get better here in the next few days, and I can get back to uploading some of these videos. I want to show you guys some of the more scenic spots here on the island. I have plenty of more driving videos and videos to review, and I'm going to do some safety stuff, you know, and show you guys from my times when I was over the road. But for today, I'm a little tired, been resting, you know, and I probably got to go lay down now and put my eye drops in. But I appreciate you all you guys watching, and I'll be talking to you soon.